Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we have a very important and special podcast. We have a charity from Blackburn that has recently started up. This charity works around the world. It's a charity that's raised a lot of money for those in need, and inshallah we're going to get into the details with the brothers.
Assalamu alaikum. So my name is Hamza, one of the founders of Huffaznetwork, and on my left hand side we've got brother Hilal, who is also one of the founders of Huffaznetwork.
MashaAllah. So Huffaznetwork is the name of your charity.
Yes.
How did that come about? Explain the name Huffaznetwork first, because that to us is like
Okay.
Basically, the Huffaz network was something that was very close to our hearts. Alhamdulillah, both me and Hamza are Hafiz of the Quran. So we've been business partners for about 7 or 8 years now, isn't it? So one of the main things that we've always wanted to do is we've always thought about doing stuff in this world, but one of the main things on our mind was how can we reinvest into the akhirah, help other people that need assistance all across the world and stuff. So one of the things that was very close to our hearts is, alhamdulillah, we had the opportunity to study the Quran, become Hafiz of the Quran, and we thought, how can we give this opportunity to others who may not be in a position to do that, whether it's because of financial difficulties or maybe they just don't have the facilities in the areas that they're from. So we had this idea and we wanted to kind of pool our resources together, brainstorm different things that we can put together and make this a possibility.
MashaAllah. So essentially, the aim of everything that you're doing right now is for the akhirah.
Yes. How it originated, the whole charity concept was, I've got a lot of family in Malawi, so I used to travel to Malawi.
Okay, so you've got So
Yeah.
I've got family in
Oh, have you?
Malawi as well.
Whereabouts
So
in
my
Malawi?
mum's Lilongwe.
Lilongwe, so that's the capital.
Yeah, so my mum's side of the family are all from Malawi. Like even when my mum was young, she was born in Malawi, and then
Okay.
so she was the youngest out of all of her siblings. But my mama, that was the eldest, I think he was about 20 something when he moved over from Malawi. So yeah.
Okay,
Alhamdulillah. So it's deep rooted.
So my mum's side of the whole family is still based in Malawi.
Okay.
So I've had to travel, for holidays and stuff. So when I used to go to Malawi, one of the other founders of Huffaznetwork, Molana Abdullah, he actually said to me, "Oh, we need to drop off some porridge sacks to a madrasa which I'm running. Do you want to come with me?" So when I went with him to this particular madrasa, there was no roof. It wasn't a building or anything. It was just a field, as such, like just on rocks and stuff, because they were just starting to build something there, and you had to drop off the porridge sacks. And then I sort of quizzed him about, what's going on here, how come there's no mosque here, etc. He goes, in Malawi there is a lot of poverty. So when it really hit home, seeing all these people suffering, especially Muslims as well. So when I come back to England from that visit, it was still inside me, like, I need to do something.
How long ago was that visit? Was it recently, or the one that made you think, right? Okay.
2015. Okay. So come back, it sort of hit me, what's going on here, and then we launched our business, me and Hilal, and then we got talking on, look, we want to do something else as well to help people, and then me and him got into a conversation on why don't we do, because I only seen that madrasa at that time, why don't we do something for Hifz students and offer a sponsor a Hifz donation package out to donors. So that's why the name also.
I've not heard of Malawi, like, as a country. I never knew it was around, because obviously, like, you don't really, in Blackburn, you're very secluded, you know what I mean? But now, obviously, you grow up, you realise there's other places out there in the world.
Yeah.
Is Malawi like a very densely populated area, or a lot of Muslims there, or what is it?
There is a lot of Muslims there. There were certain areas when the team, when we went out and we visited, it was like 80% Muslims as well. There is a lot of Muslims in a lot of African countries. You got in Nigeria, countries which you don't expect Muslims to be in Africa. There's a lot of Muslims out there. So the Muslims out there, they do need that support to carry on learning about Islam. And one of the founders in Malawi, he actually wanted to do something for people to safeguard their deen rather than helping them to just sort of, get them food, etc. He was more concerned, and his vision was we need to safeguard their deen.
I mean, not even just for the Muslims. What basically what you're doing is da'wah as well.
Yeah,
Because I'm guessing there are non-Muslims in Malawi as well.
100%.
And have you seen any reversions because of your work that you're doing?
I've not witnessed any personally, but I know some of the brothers have. And
Yeah.
when we come back from a deployment, we get feedback from the
Yeah.
team over there because you guys come and give iftar packs and treated them. We host breakfast weekly and treated them as equal human beings.
Yeah.
It hit them, and they were like, even though we weren't Muslim, they still spoke to us with respect. They still give us food.
So your
etc.
charity isn't just for the Muslims.
No.
It's for everyone in Malawi,
Yes,
innit? And I like to
100%.
see that because one of the things that is good looking after the Muslims around the world, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of crisis going around the world,
Yes.
and it's not just the Muslims; it's non-Muslims as well. And at the end of the day, we're all human.
Yeah.
So I like to see that you're working with not just Muslims, but
No.
everyone.
We don't, go out there and say, right, you're not Muslim, so you're not. We have adventures such as we're going through like some mad terrain roads where we break down. There might be some pictures which come up there in the middle of nowhere. We won't stop and say, if you're Muslim, we'll give you a sweet. We give it to we give it to everyone.
Yeah,
We look
because
at-
online there are, I'm not gonna mention, but there are just exclusively Muslim charities, and it makes me think inside that, come on, like at the same time, if you expanded, you could do da'wah as well. You could bring more people into
100%.
Islam.
We have witnessed this from feedback when we come back, and when we've gone back, there's certain. So, for example, we had a driver called Stuart when I took out the team. We'll get onto that on how we formed as a team to go out there.
Yeah.
But there was a driver called Stuart who's obviously a non-Muslim, but because of the work he's seen with us, he was so fascinated by it. It was really close, and he actually ended up working for one of the founders, Maulana Abdullah, in his shop as a driver full time as well. He just liked the way we were and how we handle things and how we sort of vision things as well.
Yeah. About your charity, how does it all work?
So we launched Huffaznetwork because of the HIF students.
Right, okay.
We've then focused on HIF students, got a few students onboarded. Now, it isn't just the HIFs element. We also get them to study farming, maths, English, etc. So agriculture,
Livelihood,
the
basically.
full package. And then what's happened is myself and a few volunteers, again, we'll talk about that, from the Lamak Musalla, we went out there to do our first ever charity deployment. When we went out there to do our first ever charity deployment, we realized there is a lot more needed rather than just HIV students. So if you said to me now, is Huffaznetwork suited to it being called Huffaznetwork? Me and Hilal were just having the discussion the other day that we probably wouldn't have called it Huffaznetwork because of the amount of projects and different sort of work we carry out now as well.
So when you do go to Malawi and you see the, I don't want to say state of people, but the environment the people are living, for the first time you went in 2015,
Yeah.
how did that affect you? Like seeing someone, like obviously, alhamdulillah, in the UK where we get the best things, we eat the best food, we wear the best stuff. But when you go to Malawi and you see poverty in a different light, how did that first affect you?
See, I've seen poverty in countries like Morocco, Egypt, India, Pakistan. But what hit a nerve in Malawi in particular was how less they have. The other country, I'm not saying they have any less or anything. It was just seeing them, even like Qurans and stuff, they've just got just simple pieces of paper, handwritten stuff, and they don't have proper shoes. There was one particular incident which comes to my mind is we went to distribute sandals. Ma Khalil, Hafiz Junaid, Hilal, Ma Amin were there at this time. We went to give out sandals, and we were warned that when you give out these sandals, just be careful because you might get trampled on. And you're like, what do you mean get trampled on? The only kids we're giving out sandals to.
Yeah.
So there's 2-3 rows of children. We're giving the sandals out, and literally within seconds, the full room got crowded with adults. Their mums, dads, everyone, and it was a shock, because just some simple like that is like gold to them. Literally, it's until you're there and you see it, you won't understand how just simple Crocs is for them.
And see, we've got a friend that works for GRT, Global Relief Trust, and he rang me a couple of days ago. He goes, do you want to go to Syria in December? Obviously, I'm not able to, but one of the things that he's always pushing us to do as well is to see it with our own eyes.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing sitting talking about it, but it's another thing actually experiencing it and seeing people that, because like you said, Tish, we're always wrapped up in our own worlds that you don't really tend to think about other people's struggles.
No.
You see it online and you're like, you make a quick dua for them, you send a bit of money and then that's it. But actually going there, doing the work, seeing and living amongst them for a bit, it must be tough.
It's very tough. And you know what? We've got to thank our donors to put us in that position to go and give out aid there, because without them, this wouldn't be possible.
Definitely.
And Hilal will say the same when I pass it on to him. But the vision we had for Huffaznetwork, it's surpassed that. It's grown massively, and that's massively thanks to the donors, the volunteers who have come on board, who have given us exposure, and people who are trusting us. And one of our policies is, even to now, is even if you donate to us £3, you will get a video personalized for that £3 donation.
Mashallah.
So you will know exactly where your money has gone. And all of the guys here, all of the team, the volunteers, everyone, nobody is employed by Huffaznetwork. Nobody is on a salary.
Right.
Everything is full on a voluntary basis. And even our team out there, we like to ensure literally every pound you will get given a dua, and you will get told where that money is used. And that's one of our unique selling points when we did first launch. And now Hafiz Junaid has been tasked with keeping on top of donations which come in. I don't know how he does it, and he's doing a fantastic job.
Mashallah.
But literally, he has to keep on top of how much has come in, and given a breakdown video. So you can imagine hundreds of videos daily, listening to them and sending them on to the donors who have donated.
Yeah.
So even if it's
responsibility,
massive. So literally, even if you give us £3, even if you say I don't need a video, you will get a video.
So in terms of, all right, let's talk your role in Huffaznetwork. What is it that you do in your role? So I'm guessing that each person that you have here has their own specific specialities that they work within the Huffaznetwork. So
my role in itself is just bring the team together, have a catch up, what's our action points, what's the next project we're looking at launching, how are we going to achieve that, when is our next deployment, make sure the groundwork team are ready for the team from here to go over there. I would say mine is just overlook sort of day to day. I was more involved in listening to the videos and sending them on to the donors. But alhamdulillah, since Hafiz Junaid's come on, even the responsibility of the money, the bank, the finance aspect, for numerous reasons, I have no control over that now. I have passed that on to Hafiz Junaid and Maulana Khalid, and also Hilal. He overlooks it. I've sort of backed away. So if anyone was to come to me and say, where's the money gone, etc., Hafiz Junaid will have everything documented, and he's in charge. So I'm away from that aspect.
What's
My role.
one of the founders of Huffaznetwork? What's your role?
My role, obviously, during the early stages, I was heavily involved in helping this grow into a brand, and it was important to help get the message out there. Now, what I do more of is, let's say, for example, there's a requirement that comes from Malawi, like we need this project, like farming project, or wheelchairs are needed. So that information gets passed on to me. I deal with the graphics, the design, the website management, all that sort of aspect. So you can kind of see me as the tech sort of guy.
behind the
the behind the scenes guy that needs to piece all this together to make sure it's functional and it works.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of element that I play it within the Huffaznetwork.
One of the first deployments we had was with, and the first massive exposure for Huffaznetwork was an Iftari deployment, which Lamak Musalla gave us the opportunity to team up with us and take them out there. So it was nerve wracking because obviously I've never done a deployment, and now
Yeah.
I've just been tasked with I think it was £50,000. We weren't used to that sort of scale
Yeah,
of money. We were collecting, they're talking £5,000 to £10,000 throughout 12 months. So this is now
Yeah.
£50,000. Here's a group of
It's a lot of
guys.
responsibility, that, yeah.
You're going straight to Malawi. You've got an opportunity to do iftar parties.
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
that was it. I've rang my cousin Maulana Abdullah saying, listen, Lamak Musalla have come to me. They want to give 50 grand and we need to do an iftari deployment. And I was panicking, saying,
Right.
are we ready for this? And these guys will explain to you the type of person he is. He goes, yeah, no worries. Like, whatever amount, we'll deal with it. What are you worrying for?
That's what you want. You want to surround yourself with the people. Inshallah.
Now, leading up to us flying out, I wasn't going to go. So it was just going to be the guys who were going to go. The business was in a difficult situation at that point. And hats off to Hilal. He sort of said to me, listen, just go. Don't worry. There's more important things to life. We'll worry about this business side of
Sort
things.
it out when you come back.
Just go.
Do what you have
And
to do.
literally, you know, I probably haven't thanked him in the past, but you know, he did push me in the right direction. He said, listen, it's your family out there.
Yeah.
I'm from Bangladesh. I've never been Malawi.
Yeah.
I can't go. You need to go. Deal with it. So I said, okay, Sam, put me in. And then I met the brothers in Lamak Musalla, and they've met me, and I don't know. So we don't know each other
Okay.
at this point. This is in what year was it? Sorry, 2020.
Right.
2022, sorry, 2022. So I'm in a room full of Mark Khalil, Hafiz Junaid, Maulana Amin, the three volunteers, and the Amir Sahib of Lamak Musalla at that time, and some other charity heads. And they said, right, are you ready? Blah, blah, blah. I said, right, let's book, let's go. Now, during the lead up to it, there was heavy rain in Malawi. So now the roads over there are
Flooding.
really bad.
Yeah.
Like, you could probably see it. Your trucks are getting
Modern,
stuck.
like,
Now, so
yeah.
I've now got an itinerary, and my cousin said to me, listen, when you guys come, there might be nothing you can do other than sit in the hotel. So I'm saying to him, I'm coming with Lamak Musalla,
With
who've
50
just
grand.
given 50 grand.
I need to do something with
I
it.
need to do something.
Yeah.
I need to show them
Yeah.
that we've got an
Yeah.
operation going on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Now, even if I turned around and said, listen, because of the rain, we won't able to do anything, but I'll get videos, it's not going to be good enough. It's just the way it is. Even though it was all like impossible at that time to go out there in these villages, because they're like 4 or 5 hour treks, 6 hour treks, some of them, to actually see it without us having a risk of getting stuck and trucks getting robbed overnight, etc. So literally a day before, I had to ring Hafiz Junaid saying, there's a chance we're going to go out there and there's nothing for us to do. And Hafiz Junaid was, again, hats off to him. He was very cool. He said, listen, don't worry about it. When we get there, we'll deal with it. And alhamdulillah, when we got there, the roads were sort of not clear because we did get stuck, but it was in a good enough state for
you
us
could
to
travel,
all
yeah.
go out there and experience every single village deployment, which we did. And I would have never imagined to have come back, and the brothers who come out with me sort of said, you know, we want to sort of team up with Huffaznetwork and come on board and do more projects, because they just enjoyed how the operation, the deployment, the experience, the transparency and everything give, and that just took us to the next level.
Transparency is important, especially in a charity when you're dealing with other people's money who've donated to you guys and stuff. And I feel like transparency is one of the biggest things in charity. You don't get much of that sometimes with some places.
So you've met the 2 founding members of Huffaznetwork. Now it's time to introduce, what do I call you? The next 2
volunteers.
Now it's time to introduce the next 2 volunteers who are an important part of this network.
Assalamu alaikum everybody. My name is Junaid, part of Huffaznetwork as a volunteer.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Khalil and I'm also a volunteer with Huffaznetwork.
MashaAllah. So in terms of your roles, what do you do first, Hafiz?
Yeah. So I'm jack of all trades, master of none. No, joke.
Okay.
No, really on a day-to-day basis, Hamza touched on it before. So I sort of look after the day-to-day donations that come in, make sure the projects get sent across of what needs completed. Any feedback that's received, as in the videos that Hamza touched upon, make sure that's sent out to the donors. Keep on top of any outstanding projects. So on a weekly basis, anything that's outstanding gets sent over to Mala Abdullah in Malawi, just as a reminder that this is still outstanding. And to be fair to them, the normal day-to-day small projects that we do are done pretty quick, very quick turnaround.
Okay, so in terms of day-to-day small projects,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Okay, so there'll be a lot of people do a sadaqah, sacrifice of goat. So we get a large number of those. We've got people that donate regular for breakfast on a day-to-day basis, meals, food packs, so the general day-to-day stuff. Then obviously we have some larger projects that naturally take some time. For example, like a borehole or a well. There's a lot of research that goes on behind it in terms of finding the right location, the drilling, all that, the engineering behind it, all that. But it's just my role is to make sure all that's on top, as well as the finances, which is a big responsibility as well. Yeah.
I can imagine
Yeah.
dealing with 50 grand.
Yeah. So it's a matter of keep making sure any completed projects, the money's coming. That's number one as well, and then obviously making sure that's money sent across, because we're in a very fortunate position because of Mullah Abdullah Malawi and the team. We don't have to send the funds across before the project's done, and to this day, he's never said, "I need this money."
Right.
Yeah, so we send it in. Funds come into the bank account every month or so. We'll do a transaction over for all the projects that are done, but it's not that he needs it for every project straight away. Pays out of his own pocket, and then obviously we
sorts it out,
transfer
yeah.
the amount across to him.
So what would you say your role is within?
So primarily, I focus on the orphanage itself. So we've got a orphanage in Malawi. It's called the Garden of Sorrow project, and inshallah we're going to go into a bit more detail about that and what it's all about, how it started, and where we've got to with that. Alongside the Garden of Sorrow project, I keep an eye out with Hafiz Junaid on some of the finance stuff, look at some of the policy side of things and how we want to be as a charity as well. Alongside that, we've also got another colleague of ours who's not here today. Unfortunately, couldn't make it. Maulana Amin.
So we've got Mullah Amin, who's also part of our team as well. So I think if you look at the balance of the team, and it's a very good balance. Everyone's got their own skills and expertise, and we gel really well. And I think one thing that probably gets, or we haven't mentioned on, is having two alims, well, three, including Maulana Abdullah in Malawi, such a massive help. You know, where we were talking about before about do we help non-Muslims as well? Yes, we do, but there's a lot of fiqh, etc., that goes behind zakat. Who's zakat eligible? Who's not? We get certain questions asked around sadaqah. Can we give it to this person? That can we not? So we do get a lot of questions asked from an Islamic perspective, who some of us aren't knowledgeable enough to answer. But we're very fortunate. We've got Mullah Amin, Mullah Khalil, Mullah Abdullah. Obviously, I've got that knowledge. I've got that understanding to make sure that money is utilized in the right way.
You just said that if someone was to donate sadaqah to a Muslim person, for example, can that money not be used towards a non-Muslim, for example?
It depends on the type of donation. So if it's specific, like zakat, then it needs to be put towards a specific type of individual. Whereas if there's a wider scope, a wider range in terms of the type of donation that's being made, then we do use it towards other projects. Recently, we've had a cancer project ongoing, feeding people who are suffering from cancer, who are in hospital. Not all of them are Muslim, and we make that clear so that people on this side appreciate and know exactly where their money is going on. I think it's more a transparency issue rather than a shari or legal one. And I think as you know, Hafiz Hamza and Hafiz Hilal mentioned earlier, I think that's one of our key principles in terms of how we want to be and how we want the charity to essentially the way we want to reflect back to the people that are making those donations.
You mentioned the project, the Garden of Sarah. Could you explain
More about that, yeah.
what that is?
No worries. I'll just take you back slightly because Hamza touched on the deployment that we did in 2022. So
Okay.
Lamak Prayer Room, which is local to all of us, is a small community prayer room, and I've been there living in the area for about just over 10, 11 years. Believe it or not, me and Hamza have lived on the same street for maybe 8 years, never knew each other at all.
MashaAllah.
But-
So this is
Yeah,
this is
it's
fate.
fate,
Work of
yeah.
Allah, yeah.
But I'd already done a couple of deployments with Lamak with other charities. So the way the Lamak works is we have sort of like a small charity group. We'll team up with other charities and go into deployments. So I'd done Albania and I think Jordan also up until that point. And then Hamza came with the project of Malawi. So we went out to Malawi, we did our distribution, and then we came back. And I think, like we touched on, seeing it firsthand is just completely different. It changes your mindset, pulls on your heartstrings naturally as you'd expect it to, and it softens you, it humbles you, it makes you appreciate what you've got. And don't get me wrong, that the feeling of that wears off when you come back here and get back to your daily routine of work, home, whatever that might be. But when we came back, we wanted to focus. We all had sort of a thing that we want to do something there long term. But what is it that we can do? And that's how sort of the conversation came about around the orphanage and the Garden of Sorrow orphanage. About how it came about, it was literally, we were talking about this yesterday, it was in Ramzan, car park outside Chai Pani. These boys were out having a cup of tea after Taraweeh. Mullah Amin, who's not here, said, you know, my heart's really attached there now. First time my heart's really attached there. We've got to do something. What can we do? Samza mentioned that Mullah Abdullah in Malawi has always had a vision of opening an orphanage. So what do you boys think? Yeah, all on board. Alhamdulillah, had a meeting, all on board. The name came about, a bit sensitive, but just to give you background on it is, do you want to mention? Yeah, Mullah Abdullah, who's over there, he had a daughter who was about 18 months old, and she sadly drowned in a swimming pool, and her name was Sarah.
Okay.
So we thought it'd be an apt name to have Sarah somewhere within the name. The rest of it we came up with through some brainstorming, etc. So it was close to his heart, and then it became close to our heart, and that's how Garden of Sarah came about.
Okay.
Yeah, just in memory of Sarah, really. And just to give you, you know, this point, I think you've said it, and Hamza mentioned it as well, and it's been echoed again and again, that going out there and seeing it firsthand, and seeing that poverty is something different. I think you can read the statistics from here, you can scroll on the videos, but until you actually see it, I think it has a completely different impact on your heart.
Definitely.
And I think, I remember that we used to, in that very first deployment, I think in one of the very first visits that we done, we brought people together. So they used to come to the center of the village, and we used to allow them to, you know, pick up their donation, and they take it back to their homes. And then a couple of days later, we had the opportunity to actually deliver the aid to people's houses.
Personally,
And I remember that it took 5 of us to pick one of those packs up, carry it to a house, and we had plenty of breaks on the way. And then seeing that house, you know, bare off any furniture, bare off any essentials, it really makes you think about, you know, the bounties, the luxuries that we have, and yet are not content with.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way of putting it. That we're not content with what we have.
Yeah, and we should be, because, you know, there's nothing different between us and them.
Yeah.
It's just that, you know, Allah decreed that we were born here, afforded
they-
with opportunity, and
yeah.
they were born into poverty, and it's not through our own skill or you know, expertise that we are able to do this. We're not better people because we gave them aid. But going back to the orphanage itself, so as Hafiz Junaid mentioned, you know, alhamdulillah, we came back, and I think it's important. I'll give you some context here that, you know, Malawi is one of the poorest countries in the world.
Yeah.
So almost half the population is children. And
Okay.
so they've got, I think, 18, 19 million population. Half of that, almost, I think, I want to say around 48% is children. That shows you the short life expectancy. And a lot of this is down to the HIV/AIDS endemic in Malawi leaves a lot of kids orphaned, and they are then, they don't have the health infrastructure, they don't have the education infrastructure, and they're subject to abuse or forced into manual labor. Um, and when we came back, the brothers had this idea that we want to do something. We didn't want this to be a one-off experience, that we've gone there, we've had this amazing, humbling experience, and then to come back and for it, not to be revisited isn't really an option.
Because essentially, you know what happens? You, in the moment, you're like, I want to do everything. I want to do this. And then when you come home and just a couple of weeks later, you're like, you forget about it. You just go back to
And
school.
this is why I think it's from Allah, because we had this and we came back and it was just an idea, an aspiration. As Hafiz Junaid said, we were just sitting around having tea, getting together, talking about it. And then the team in Malawi said they found a house. It's perfect. It's near where one of the current existing madrasas is. And then things moved really quickly and became a question of, are you serious about this? And we got together at Hafiz Junaid's house, I remember, and we decided that yes, this is something that we want to do. And I always think to myself that we're just a vehicle. Allah made the opportunity for us at that time easily. In another life, we could have come back and it would have dissipated. We would have gone on to do our things and we would have remembered it as a fantastic experience, but nothing more. And as soon as we moved forward with this, alhamdulillah, the team in Malawi began to get this orphanage together, and we on our side started to do the fundraising, and alhamdulillah, very quickly we managed to get 6 young girls into the orphanage, and the generosity of people is amazing. I think it was a matter of hours and all 6 were spoken for, and alhamdulillah, we were doing smaller fundraising events, and then we done a very large family fun day in Audley Sports Centre, and it's something we'll touch on later as well, because we've now made it into a ongoing sort of yearly event. So we had this family fun day event sort of thing, which alhamdulillah managed to allow us to raise the entire amount.
Right.
So it was a really successful event, alhamdulillah. And then back in October 23, we, for the first time, decided that we're now going to go and see this orphanage. We hadn't at this point seen it in person. And alhamdulillah, I think the highlight for all of us and the anticipation was to see these girls. That we'd seen the videos over the course of the year, we'd seen them celebrating Eid, we'd seen, and heard them reading Quran, we'd read their reports, and now we were finally going to see them in person. And I think the first time that we met them, I don't know how exactly to describe it, but there was this unspoken tension, because you have to remember that they didn't know us. They'd never spoken to us or met us. We were strangers to them from the other side of the world. And alhamdulillah, the next day we took them out, and we, as they played and as they became more familiar with us, they started to open up and laugh and joke. And I think it was at that point it really hit home, the objective or the goal that we'd set out to achieve.
So if anyone wanted to donate to your charity, how would they go about that?
So the first point of call would be the website, which is Huffaznetwork.co.uk, which has got all our projects on there, If we're collecting for anything specifically, for example, at the minute we've got a farmers pack project ongoing, because there's only a few months out of the year when they can plant their seeds, etc. So this is the time of year where we're collecting for that. It's done a lot through messaging, a lot of marketing done through, obviously it's on the website as well, but through our Instagram page as well. There's a Huffaz Network Instagram page as well. So we try and get awareness out there as much as we can. Alhamdulillah, over time, 100% it's grown massively, to a point, where it wasn't expected by any of us, the amount that it's grown, but through the efforts and the duas. I think for me, you need 4 key elements to make it work. You need the need. The need has to be there. Yeah, without the need, there's nothing to give. You need the generosity of the donors. Yeah, you need the right team to deliver, and most importantly is the will of Allah. Allah wants it to happen, it'll happen. I know one thing that will stick with me. Everyone will know the late Hafiz Sadiq that passed away recently, who was head of Al Imdad charity here. When we were doing when we were doing a deployment with them, one thing is, we had aspirations, say, I think at that time for that deployment for Jordan, I think it was to raise 60 grand. And I was like, I've said it, we're a small community, Lamak's not that big. And these words will always stick to me. He said to me, just make the intention, make dua, leave the rest to Allah. Of course. And that's it. And that is so true. Every deployment we've done, we've always tried to aim higher and higher and higher. And sometimes we think, are we reaching too high? But you know what? Always supersedes expectations, alhamdulillah.
The orphanage, from them 3 little girls to now, how much has it grown over the years?
So I think we started off with 6 girls, and we've still got 6 girls.
Okay.
But I think what we're trying to do here is more than just provide. I think we're looking at this in a more holistic way, a bigger picture in terms of trying to give them the best we can. Just maybe a week or 2 ago, we were looking at possibly moving them from one school to another, a better school, a private school. And I think for me, when I was thinking about this decision, it was going to cost us more. But I looked at it in the perspective of, would I do this for my own daughter? And I think that's what we're trying to achieve here. It's not a case of, we saw many orphanages in Malawi. And I think, there were different types where some are more, they provide shelter and a home. I think what we're looking at here is trying to build tomorrow's leaders, inshallah.
I think one of the important things for us with the orphanage was making sure we get that model right. It is alhamdulillah a pretty big place. We could probably double the amount of girls that are in there at the minute, but we want to make sure we've got the model right on a small scale first. Make sure it's tested. Do we need to adapt? Like when Akil said,
the last thing you want to do is get too big. And then you
too
can't,
quick.
And then you can't look after it properly.
Yeah.
And then it dissolves.
Yeah.
You don't want that to happen.
No, so it's a case of probably quality over quantity at this point.
Definitely.
When we get to that stage where we think we've got it right, it's working, because it's been about 18 months, give or take, only, so it's not been that long. So alhamdulillah, girls are happy, they're doing really well. So once we know we've got that right, then we can look at expanding and maybe bringing more girls. This is all about giving them an opportunity that we've been blessed with without having to do anything for it.
We've brought back the 2 founders of Huffaznetwork because we want to ask them a few questions about the key people that are not able to be on camera with us today.
So one of the key people who unfortunately couldn't make it today was Maulana Amin. Maulana Amin, I don't know if you guys have seen his videos. The way he interacts with the donors is very unique, and how he sort of addresses the issues and the donations which are required. I just wanted to mention how good of a job he's doing on the social media. His commentary he's behind the scenes. You'll never see his face.
Okay.
And
Is that why he's not here today?
maybe that is the reason. But we've had numerous donors who message in just saying, when's the next video coming up? When you're on deployment, we send a video of the day and what we've done. And it's not just a video which makes you feel sad about the people out there. He really sort of puts smiles on their faces and the viewers' faces with the way he interacts and commentates and stuff. He's a bubbly person, and his jokes are second to none. Brilliant. If I would highly recommend watching one of Amin's videos.
Are there any other key people that?
Yeah, and we had 3 other volunteers who went. One of them I do want to mention was Sajid Bhai from Lamak Musalla, who actually approved Huffaznetwork to come on board to do a deployment for Lamak Musalla. So Jazakallah to Hafiz Sajid to forming the team as well. Is he Hafiz? Sorry, Sajid. Sorry, Sajid. But inshallah, one day he'll
This
become Hafiz.
is Sajid Bhai approved.
Sajid Bhai is approved.
That's good.
And we also had Ammar and Fayaz. Both these brothers went out for the Iftari deployment, put in a lot of graft there as well. So Jazakallah to them as well.
So you mentioned Maulana Abdullah, and off camera you've said some good stuff about Maulana Abdullah. Would you be able to share a few things about?
Without obviously Allah, this whole charity wouldn't have formed, but one of the pillars of this charity is Maulana Abdullah. He really inspired me personally when I was out there, and him sort of just going out there and doing charity work, going out to all these villages in, you know, crazy heat, and just doing it off his own back. No one even knew he was doing it. Graduated from South Africa and become alim there.
If you don't mind me asking, how old is he?
Mid-30s to late 30s.
Oh, mashallah.
So for a young person,
Very young, ain't
brilliant. So he graduated from South Africa, moved back to Malawi, got normal job, standard job, and I would see whilst I was there, he would do a lot of charity work outside of working hours on his own back, on his own accord, like not just passionately doing it. And the team he's formed out there is are people who were born in Malawi, grew up in Malawi in poverty, were given funds, scholarship funds to go and graduate from South Africa. And they have been offered jobs in different parts of the world to do imamat and carry on being teachers. But because of how Maulana Abdullah operates in Malawi and the work he does for the people of Malawi, a lot of these individuals who graduated on these scholarship programs, it's a life-changing opportunity. It's like you getting offered a job, I don't know, in Dubai, 6-figure salary. You're jumping on the plane, you're going. It's more than a 6-figure salary for these guys. They've come from nothing. And because of the way Abdullah is and the work he carries out there, they have stationed with him in Malawi and joined his team in sort of doing charitable work all across Malawi. Never ever have we heard him say, I can't do this. He will make sure whatever it takes, he will get the job done.
This is what I'm guessing. Donations come in to your charity. You would then send the donations to Maulana Abdullah.
Even before the donations are sent, so the financial aspect, straight away Hafiz Junaid will drop him a message. So say you've messaged me now. Within 30 seconds, he will have your message in Malawi. Hafiz Junaid will message him. Bilal wants to host a breakfast. Do it under the name of Bilal. Can this be done for tomorrow morning?
Right.
So soon as you have told Hafiz Junaid sends this message across to Maulana Abdullah. Maulana Abdullah will then tell his team to get this arranged. Tomorrow, the breakfast will take place. A video will be taken, sent back to Hafiz Junaid. Hafiz Junaid will then send that to you.
How much does a breakfast cost?
£30, and it feeds roughly 35 to 45 people, children. Breakfast programs attend for them. They get a porridge, they get hot chocolate, and they also get bread. So we're not just providing them with their staple diet breakfast. We want to give them a feel of a luxurious breakfast. But imagine that's 30 quid.
I was just going to say,
That's a
third.
lot. 30 was nothing for us. Yeah. God forbid, like 30 quid, whatever, like a corner shop trip. Do you know what I mean?
You end up spending like a couple of crisps.
Literally, man. For those like 25, 35 people.
Yeah.
Just to wrap the episode up, is there anything that you would like to say to the public in regards of why they should donate?
I just want to say Jazakallah once again to all our donors who have made this possible for us. Without the support we've had, we wouldn't be at this level which we are. And also Jazakallah to the team of volunteers, those who did come on camera and those who couldn't make it today as well. Without these guys and without Hilal pushing me to go on the first deployment, from my side, it wouldn't be possible to get to where we are. So, Jazakallah, carry on with du'as and donations where possible. Just to give you an overview on how far we have come as a charity, when we first launched in our first year, I think we collected around £5,000. And just yesterday, Hafiz Junaid was just having the conversation with me. In the last 6 months, we have collected £125,000. So, alhamdulillah, we have come a very long way. And the figures show, and due to that, the amount of people which have been supported in Malawi is insane.
Mashallah, yeah.
Yeah, just following on from what Hamza said, I just want to say Jazakallah to all the donors, because it's a big, huge responsibility to have your funds as an amana for us to ensure that it reaches the right people and it gets done in a timely manner. And alhamdulillah, I'm grateful for the team that we have both in the UK and in Malawi, because without the team, this would not be possible. So having the team that we have here and on the ground over there, it gives me that confidence, because when I went out there on deployment as well, when I got to see it firsthand, honestly, I was taken back. I was like, from here, obviously, as I said, I deal with the tech side. I'll make a flyer. I'll see the donations coming. I'm like, brilliant. Like, alhamdulillah, we've raised X amount. This is great. But when I was there and I saw it, the amount of organization that needs to happen, the amount of different things that we don't even think about, like transportation, X, Y, Z, and the way how Maulana Abdullah has it already set, and it's like we don't even need to worry about that when we're there. Everything's
all
taken
sorted
care
for
of.
you,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is what I'm saying. I want him to sort my life out because it's just that on point. It's amazing,
Mashallah.
alhamdulillah. So I'm just grateful for all the donors, our team, because without any donations from the people that are trusting us with it, none of this wouldn't be possible. And also I'm grateful for Allah for giving us this opportunity, because it's a dream for both myself, Hamza, and the team to be able to do this. Because as Maulana Khalil said, we're just the vehicle of this. I don't know why Allah has selected us, but I'm just eternally grateful for that. And I hope that we can continue to have your support, have your trust, and that we can continue to deliver this transparency in every single donation, whether it's small or big. We try to make sure that we have the video receipts coming back to you so you can see where every single penny is going.
Thank you for watching, guys. Just before you go, quickly, the brothers here at Huffaznetwork have a Ramadan deployment in January, and just quickly we'll get a bit of information on that.
So we've got a group of volunteers, inshallah, going just before Ramzan to do an iftar pack deployment. So you'll be able to watch videos daily whilst the team is out there. And if there was any projects they were interested to donate as well, zakat, etc., they'd be able to let the brothers know, and we'll be able to sort of get it done for them whilst they're there.
Inshallah. I advise you to go to the Huffaznetwork Instagram. You'll love the videos. Make sure you go and check them out. Give them a follow as well. And inshallah, we should do this again. And we'll work together in future projects, inshallah.
You need to see your family in Malawi. So inshallah, we're going to take him away for the next one.